चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः मुखं करोति वाचालां पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातदहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यईश्वरम् नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पश्चात देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिव सदि गौर भक्ति वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 नाम संकीर्तन की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य जी भांगे श्री प्रभुपाद की जय सिंबल भक्ति वृंद की जय Hare Krishna dear devotees, thank you so much. So we are still in chapter 1 and today we'll try to finish that chapter and then we'll get into the next chapter from next class. Let me share my screen. So, oh, I don't know why this one is coming, but so we are talking about what are the 6 powerful benefit of pure devotional service. So when people may ask, right, what's the why we should try to be uh, devotee, then Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu teaches us that if one is engaged in pure devotional service, then these are the 6 benefit, and these benefits are huge. So we'll try to go through it, and I think the similar context will come again later. So we'll keep on talking. So Klesa Agni, it destroys all the suffering. And then is Shubhada, Shubhada, it gives all the auspiciousness around us. And Moksh Laghuta Krit, one who is engaged in pure devotional service, for them liberation becomes insignificant. That really difficult to digest, but that's what it happens. And then the fourth character of pure devotional service is that it's sudurlabha. Wow, it's not easily attained. So that's a milestone. We should not think that I got it type of thing. And then Sandranand Visheshatma, it's manifest, higher, very very concentrated bliss to our Supreme Personality of Godhead. And last but not least, it's Sri Krishna Karshini. So the pure devotional service attracts Lord Himself. So we talked about Klesa Agni, that avidya is the root cause of it, and some part is our control, and some part is out of our control. So how we act, that is in our control. If we are in the avidya, then we can aspire to get the vidya, that is in our control. But once we cross that option of choice and end up due to any type of avidya, end up doing any sinful act, then we got into the cycle, and then we'll be basically going through the suffering. But bhakti has the potency to completely nullify the suffering. Example is given that when there is forest fire, all other living beings, they run away. Snake, they can't. Just get trapped into the bushes and they get died. Likewise, the avidya, which is cause of the suffering, is completely nullified at due course of time for sure when we are engaged in bhakti. So next item we'll discuss today is subhada, and this is another beautiful point that we are going to discuss. It says that subhani parinam sarva jagtam anuraktata sadguna sukhamiti adini akhyatani manisi or manisi vihi. So subhani parinanam sarva. A devotee is always acting parinanam sarva for the well-being of all the living being. Wow. So a pure devotee will be always making plan how to serve other living being. Isn't it so good to hear? So all the pure devotees, they are making plans for us to help, and they're helping us so that we can go back to home, back to Krishna. So Jagat Parinanam or Parinam, affection for all living being. So a person who is performing the pure devotional service will have the affection for all living being. And Sarva Jagatam Anurakta, he is attracted, and all other living beings are also attracted to him. So a pure devotee attracts people, and and also other living beings are attracted by his quality. Srila Prabhupada, right? How much we are attached to him and how dear he was to devotees. Sadgunadi pradatavam, pradtavam, bestowal of all the good qualities. A pure devotee has all of this good quality. And then Shukha pradatvam, he receives all kinds of happiness. So there is another important point here that I would like, if you can make a note or remember. In fact, there are only three kinds of happiness. We learned from Bhakti Samrita Sindhu. The first happiness, the first type of happiness is called happiness that comes from the object of the material world. It's called Bhogananda. If you can remember this thing, it will help you in your preaching. Bhogananda. The Ananda that it comes, or the Ananda, the pleasure that comes when we are enjoying the things of the material world. And then there is another Anand, happiness, that comes when one is trying to meditate on the impersonal form of the Lord. It's called Brahmananda. And the highest, most Ananda is Premananda, when one is trying to uh, worship Supreme Personality of Godhead in pure devotional service. So it says that the Bhogananda uh, Vaisaikam is like a drop of water. So all the happiness that living being receives in the material world, it's all considered like a drop of water in a mirage also. So how much importance a drop of water has in the mirage. And then the happiness that comes out of Brahman realization, that is like water in a hoof of a cow. And Bhakti Anand, Premanand, Anand that we receive in love, in Prema, with Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is compared as ocean. So drop of water, water in the hoof of a cow, and and water in ocean. So these three types of understanding, three types of happiness we learn from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So Ramayana has a very beautiful verse, that says that who will be that person who will basically who will cut the mango tree that has all the good quality and gives a very sweet fruit and transplant a neem tree, which has a bitter fruit. So, so who would not be attracted towards pure devotional service, Premananda of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why one will spare their life in Bhogananda or Brahmananda? And that's the knowledge. Avidya, remember we were talking about the cause of suffering is avidya. So that the knowledge we need to have that understanding that all that endeavor that we have been making is like is like a drop of water. So all the happiness is like a drop of water. So how much happy, I don't know, we can't imagine how much happy that happiness is going to be when we go back to home, back to Krishna. So these are the four uh, types of auspiciousness. Affection for all living being. The living being, the pure devotee is attracted by all living being, or living beings are, attracted to him. He has all the good quality, and then he rejoices the topmost happiness. Is it okay? Good enough? Or any question? So here we are going to see some more detailed explanation. This is all the verses that's given in Bhakti Samrita Sindhu. It says that uh, he who worships the Lord is pleasing to all living entity and all the inhabitants of the world, both moving and non-moving, are pleasing to him. Sarva Jagatam Parinanam and Anurakta. So it's like both with traffic. Both moving and non-moving are pleasing to him. So sometimes, by reading this thing, I also realize that, for me, long way to go, long way to go, because I should be dear to other, and others should be dear to me also. This envy and quarrel and any other mentality, if you look at in reference to this verse, it's just our deficiency. It's just our lagness. It just shows we're not there. And then the next verse says that the devatas constantly dwell with all good qualities. That person who has pure bhakti for the Lord. There are no good quality in the non-devotee who chases after temporary material objects with desire for material pleasure. This is a beautiful verse. I'm sure all of you might have heard it. Sasya bhakti bhagavati yakinchana sarvair gunas tatra samasta sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahadguna manorathena sati dhavato bahi. So a devotee has all the good quality that manifest because all of this good quality represents a demigod, like uh, a skill of playing instruments, or a skill of playing harmoniums or mridangas, or doing kirtan, or even a skill of being able to express the signs of Krishna consciousness. Saraswati is Devi. Saraswati, is the personification for Vidya. So all of these demigods. So right now, just take the example of, we are, as a aspiring devotee, we are using things in service of Kirtan. So our drum playing is for the pleasure of the Lord. Our harmonium playing is for the pleasure of the Lord. Okay. My ornamental English or whatever it is, it's for the pleasure of the Lord. Whatever intelligence and degree I have gotten, I'm using that for the pleasure of the Lord. Whatever things I have around me, it's for the pleasure of the Lord. So all of these demigods are devotee of Lord. So they feel immense happiness through devotee serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Is the point clear? I want this point to be very clear. So Lakshmi, like is staying in the house of a devotee, because Lakshmi that way is getting opportunity to serve Vishnu. Lakshmi, Saraswati, all of that, like staying with devotee. Why? Because these qualities are being used to serve Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Sarva Guna Samahite, all the good qualities slowly and slowly starts coming in devotees, because devotee is going to use that in service of Krishna. But on the other hand, a person who is not striving for pure devotional service, that person will have to make effort and endeavor life after life, life after life, life after life, to have some degree of expertise. So you would notice in yourself also that once your dedication will increase, then so many other quality will be manifesting in your personality also. And one of the very simple example I can give is that realizations. When you get up in the morning, what's coming in your mind? Something very good. Always something good comes. I have to do this. I have to do like that to my Bhakti Sastri group so that I can, make them learn more. Or if I'm doing anything, always, who should be, for this project, who are the right, all the idea, all the time, looking at the people driving car, looking at the good scenario. Devotees are always getting some realization. Oh, how beautiful Krishna has created this material world. So you can see everything is being used in service of Krishna, and that is why all of these personalities, they like serving Krishna. So when we say that, another very important point, should we go and worship Kali, worship Durga, and worship other personality? Not necessary. If you worship Krishna, they would like to be, helping you. They would like to come close to you, help you, because their quality is also going to be optimized through you. Okay, and beautiful example is that when Maharaj Jar Bharat was caught up by the robbers and thieves, and they wanted to kill him in front of Mother Kali. Mother Kali came out of her deity and killed all those rogues and thugs and saved her pure devotee. So my dear devotee, it's very important. We have some weakness for sure, but being very honest and making a sincere endeavor is what matters the most. So we can see that sadgunadi prad pradtvam pradatvam, that's the real way to say it. All the good quality is going to manifest. And then we talked about these three types of happiness: Bhoganandi, Brahmanandi, and Premanandi. So I'll skip that one. And then the last one is that all these three happiness are in bhakti. Astounding mystic power eternal happiness in the realization of the Brahman, and eternal bliss from the service to the Lord all appear from the bhakti to Govinda. So by doing bhakti, we are not missing anything. We are not missing the anand of, you know, material world. We are not missing the anand of Brahman realization. We are not missing the anand of Paramatma realization, right? Bhagwan realization is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat is Brahman, Chit is knowledge, Anand is blissful. So Brahman Paramatma, Brahman has Sat realization, Sat feature. So if you are Brahman realized, then Sat feature, which is eternity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that reveals to the worshipper. If you are Paramatma worshipper, then Sat and Chit feature of the Lord will reveal to the devotee. But if you are Bhagwan worshipper, then Sat, Chit and Anand, all these three features will reveal. And that's complete, Krishna says that Brahmand Bharmito, not Krishna says, our Acharya says, Krishna says that Bahunam Janmanamante Gyanvan Mam Prapadyante Vasudevam Sarvamiti Samhatmana Sadurlabha. मनुष्य नाम सहस्रसु कश्चित् एतति सिद्धये एतन्ति अपि सिद्धानां कश्चित् वेत्ति माम तत्वतः. So many people, they are trying for the perfection. Out of so many people who are trying for the perfection, many few come to the perfection. And even some of those who have come to the perfection, very few will come to this stage where they will know me tatvatah, sat chit anand feature. So that is why that by doing bhakti, we are not missing anything. Okay. And then the third quality is muksh laghuta krit. We have seen this information before also, that for a pure devotee, moksha is insignificant. All the siddhas headed by liberation and all astonishing material pleasures follow after the great God is called Hari Bhakti. So Bhakti Devi. Normally, Bhakti Maharani is referred as Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Maharani also. So everybody, all of these, siddhas or siddhi, Prabhupada has given, all the siddha that we get. You can read in the summary of Nectar of Devotion. All of the siddhas and all of the material pleasure that we get, all of those are running like a maid servant after after Bhakti Devi. Okay, so bhakti is not missing anything. That is why a pure devotee, we have talked about this one, has no aspire, no desire to get to Sayuja Mukti or Salokya Mukti or Sarupya Mukti or Samupya Mukti or Sarsisti Mukti. None of these are goal of a pure devotee. And some of these things will reveal more as we go along. So for a devotee, moksha is almost insignificant. Okay, so that's also part of the pure devotion, right? What's the definition of the pure bhakti? Who can say that? Who will share? What's the definition of the pure bhakti that we just finished studying? Who would like to share that? Anyavilasita sunyam gyan karmadya navritam. So jnana karma, right? Jnana leads to basically uh, uh, what's the goal of the jnana? What's gyan does for us? It help
Knowledge.
knowledge. It help us, to conquer, transcend the cycle of our material existence. So gyan, karma, anavritam, anyavilasita, all other desire doesn't matter. It's jnana or karma. A pure devotee has no other desire. Anukulenu Krishnanu Silanam Bhakti Uttamam. He is all the time constantly engage in favorably serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, for sure, in that definition, this part is inclusive, that a pure devotee does not have any desire for moksha. Gyan Karmadhya Navritam, there is no taste for moksha. Okay. Then the fourth quality is Sudurlabha, and that is also very important quality that we have to meditate on. So, pure devotion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely rare. It says that sadhana anughair anasangair albhaya suchiradapi, suchirad, long time. Harina chasva deyati dvidha, dvidha means two, Shashyat Sudurlabha. So bhakti is difficult to attain in two ways. It says that Harina Chasva Deyati Dvidha. Bhakti is difficult to attain in two ways. First, if one has undertaken bhakti in great quantity but without attachment, bhakti cannot be attained even after a long time. So one has taken the process of bhakti, but if that limbs of bhakti are not being followed with full attachment, then bhakti cannot be attained even after a long time. Isn't very important message for us? That's Hindu Mataji. Isn't it very important message for us?
Yes, Prabhuji.
It's very, very important. It's very, very important. So being serious in bhakti is what is being spoken here with full attachment. And this thing will be more clear later. Asakti is one of the stage also. Nishtha, Asakti, Ruchi. So it says that, so if we see Asakti, then we can say that first line is saying that if one has not enough sincerity, then for that person, bhakti cannot be attained. So long time will be just a career, running the things, just on superficial level. So that's why, it comes to that everything else is good, but how much transformation is happening to our consciousness? That's the really important thing. I can be doing things not knowing the intent of the thing. Okay, so information should leads to transformation, and if that transformation is not happening, that means it's going to be long time process. Life is very, very short, and if bhakti is not done with full attachment, then it's going to take too long time. But second part, even if it's practiced with attachment, Krishna does not give bhakti to the practitioner immediately. So, so the meaning of the second segment is that when we look at the stages of the bhakti, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, like that, we go up. Then Bhava and Prema. So if one has even come to the stage of Ashakti, if you see in that stage, okay, leading that person from Ashakti to bhava is not immediately going to be rewarded. And you will see that segment will come later. If the answer is not clear by end of this class, then we'll come back and talk again. So overall, coming to the bhava stage of devotional service, coming to the higher stage of devotional service is going to be very, very difficult. On the other hand, liberation is easily attained by Gyan. So if you are Gyan Yogi, you can easily attain the liberation. People say, why see you Asutos? He's so kind. Whoever goes ask him, he gives things. See here, liberation is easily attained by Gyan, and material enjoyment is easily attained by Punya, such as sacrifice after attaining the dedication to those goals by some attempts. Here it says thousands of attempts. However, bhava bhakti to the Lord cannot be attained if one practices thousands of different sadhana. So, bhava bhakti cannot be attained so easily. On the other hand, liberation can be rewarded very easily. No one can,
But
yeah, Prabhu.
so that's speaking to liberation, but not going back to Godhead, correct? Because
Yeah,
liberation
so
is
liberation, so
very
liberation here means
temporary.
liberation here means one of those five liberation that we saw here.
Okay.
Not
Yep.
going back to home, back to Krishna.
Yeah. You might go to Brahmaloka, but then
You
you
may, yeah, liberation here really means, going to, basically, it's mostly refer here, that's a good point. It's mostly referring to Sayuja Mukti. It's
okay, okay,
mostly talking about the first one.
okay. That's what I thought. Okay, great.
Yeah, which is basically the result of the Gyan.
Yep.
Okay. For other type of liberation, some bhakti is also needed. So, Karma Yogi, since you brought this question, Karma Yogi is not a pure devotee, but he does some part of bhakti too. Gyan Yogi is not a pure devotee, but he does some part of bhakti too. So our Acharya says the result that one get for that part of bhakti, Guna Bhuta Bhakti, Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti, and Kevalya Bhakti. So Guna Bhuta Bhakti has some bhakti with more Gyan and Karma endeavor. You know, Pradhan Bhuta Bhakti has more bhakti, but still there is tinge of karma and jnana. And Kaivalya Bhakti is the bhakti where there is no karma, no jnana. It's completely anyavilasita, pure bhakti. So, karmi or jnani, even if they attain something higher, they attain for some part of bhakti that is part of their practice. So ultimately, bhakti gives the result. That's how Acharya says. Okay, Prabhu. So why Krishna does not gives bhakti so easily? Here we can see, my dear king, the supreme person, Mukunda, is maintainer of all the members of the Pandavas and Yadu dynasty. So Sukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj, he is your spiritual master and worshipable deity, friend and director of your activities. To say nothing of this, he sometimes serve your family as a messenger or servant. This means that he worked just as ordinary servants do. Those engaged in getting the Lord's favor attain liberation from the Lord very easily, but he does not give bhava bhakti at all times. So here Sukdev Goswami is telling Parikshit Maharaj that your grandfather Yudhishthir and Pandavas, They were so fortunate. They were extremely fortunate. Extremely fortunate. In fact, Narad is saying that the Pandavas are extremely fortunate. Why? Even Prahlad Maharaj is saying Pandavas are extremely fortunate. Why? Why they are so fortunate? Because Krishna lived with them as a human being and had his dealing with them like one to one. Not only that, but Krishna served them like servant does to their master. Why? Because Krishna was fully captivated by their pure devotion. So if Krishna is captivated by one's pure devotion, that's what happens. Krishna Karshani. It attracts Krishna also. And then Krishna get completely bound by the emotion of that devotee. So that's what Sukadeva Goswami is telling to Parikshit Maharaj, that all of these devotees, all of Prahlad Maharaj, what happened? To save Prahlad Maharaj is one of the powerful devotee. To save Prahlad Maharaj, Lord came as Narsimha Dev. He took the form of half man, half lion. He didn't come like flute playing Krishna. Pandavas were the one who had that type of relationship with Krishna. So that's how Krishna is. If one is pure devotee of Lord, that's Krishna goes up to that extent that he become even servant of his devotee. He even serve his devotee. Later part you will hear, but those things are not going to be possible for other types of practitioner. Not me saying. Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit Maharaj. And Srila Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu citing that in Bhagavatam, Sukadeva Goswami is saying to Parikshit Maharaj, Narad Muni is talking to Yudhishthira also, that will come. Narad Muni is saying that you all are even greater than me. Narad Muni is talking to Prahlad Maharaj, saying that Prahlad, Pandavas are greater than you. Because see how fortunate they are. Lord personally came as a person and had, exchange of love with them. So that's what happens when one comes to the stage of pure devotion. Then the fifth quality is that it's Sandranand Visheshatma. Devotee feel a very condensed garha karne, a very condensed bliss. How come Parikshit Maharaj can hear Bhagavatam 7 days without sleeping, without having any deviation? What was that bliss? That type of bliss is being spoken here. That a pure devotee, he feels that condensed bliss. I don't know how is that bliss, but that's what uh, is being said here. That's the fifth quality of pure devotional service. So a bliss of Brahman realization accumulated by Samadhi, lasting for half of the Brahma's life, cannot compare to one drop of the ocean of happiness that we get in bhakti. So all of us know that Brahman realization uh, ultimately leads to Sayuja Mukti, and Sayuja Mukti is not for permanent. Okay, it has a long time span, and example is given here that half day of Lord Brahma, half day of Lord Brahma, even one get that long duration to stay liberated in Sayuja Mukti. That bliss, that happiness is not equivalent to one drop of happiness that one gets in bhakti. And we heard about Brahmanandi and Premanandi. So that's the point being made here. That even if you have half life cycle of Lord Brahma time span to merge in Brahman, still that happiness is not equivalent to one drop of the happiness that you get in bhakti. All the happiness of impersonal Brahman is as insignificant as the water in the hoof print of cow. When the breeze, here is another beautiful point that's coming from third canto. When the breeze carrying the aroma of tulsi leaves from the toes of the lotus feet of the personality of Godhead entered the nostril of those sages are here four Kumaras. They experience a change both in body and mind, even though they were attached to the impersonal Brahman. So in third canto, there is a pastime when Kumaras are going to Vaikuntha and Jay and Vijay is stopping them, saying them who you are and where you are going. You don't belong to this place, you know. And then there is argument going on. While that argument is going on, at that time they felt the smell, tulsi aroma, tulsi aroma that came out touching the feet of the Lord. And when they smelled that tulsi aroma, that purified their consciousness. So that's why, when we are in the temple, we have a flower that we take the aroma, water that we sprinkle. That's the purpose, because the flower has been offered to Supreme Personality of Godhead. So by smelling the aroma that came out of Lord's feet, that completely changed the body and mind of a Brahman realized four Kumaras, and he became pure devotee. He realized the supreme form, the personal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, so how potent is going to be for those who are constantly engaging and their desire is not to be impersonal Brahman, rather they have a pure desire to serve the Lord. How powerful that's going to be. Some fortunate people play in sweet ocean of your lotus topics and enjoy the greatest bliss. They consider the happiness from dharma, artha, kama, and moksha to be as insignificant as grass. We mow the grass. What we do with the grass? How much do we care for the grass? So, uh, Sarupa Goswami is trying to remind us here that that's how the bliss, that's intense feeling or bliss devotee has, that he does not have any interest for any of this dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, and he's fully all the time enjoying the topic of hearing the pastime of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, bhakti, pure devotional service, or bhakti that we are performing, will lead us to that stage. Okay, so what is the practical application of that one for us? The practical application for that is that devotee will become, what devotee will become? Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is very clearly says, Vyavasayatmika buddha ekah kurunandana. Devotee will come to that stage where he will know that I have only one business. Sometimes, I think, how come devotee like Radhe Shyam Prabhu can stay Nastic Brahmachari whole life with such a good education, so much learned, so educated, and still have such intense devotion. If he would have decided to get into the material world, he would have, today maybe some big guy somewhere, graduate from IIT Powai, but whole life, our Gauranga Prabhu and so many other brahmacharis, completely. What test do they get? Sometimes, that thing come. Whenever I see some weakness in my personality, something, I have a Vacho Vegam. I know that. And I'm trying to control that. Not to you all. Right now I'm saying Krishna Katha. So Krishna Katha, there is no, as much as you can talk, you should talk. But sometimes I feel that, so unnecessarily I get into something that I should not be. Sometimes I think, that how some of the people like Radhasyam Prabhu or Gauranga Prabhu, or, take the example from Apat Swami Maharaj, you know, he comes here for 1 week, all of us get tired, and he does day in, day out, month and month, 3 programs every day. And same, and he's changing the audience. Okay, so me, tired here, going to face a new group of audience who are super excited. And then I'm tackling with them. I have never heard him saying that, I had a very long program in Phoenix, so I'm gonna a little bit be slower here. Same intensity, same intensity. We have, many of us come from India. 6 days no service. I just came from India. I have a, jet lag. What type of jet lag Prabhupada had? So these examples should intensify and purify. Sometimes, people think that I'm not very practical. I said it's not about being practical. What you think is practical is impractical. So all of this practicality and this and that comes because we are not seeing the importance of bhakti. Everything else will become subsidiary. That's what it's saying here. That's what these verses are saying. That, he just rejoicing. He just, fully merged in the ocean of your topics. And he enjoys the greatest bliss without considering anything such as dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. So that's a gold standard. That's a gold standard for us, that not unnecessarily try to too much linger on our own intelligence. Bhakti also means putting trust in devotees. Very important. Very important. Putting trust in others. Putting trust in Daya Sindhu Mataji. She is a devotee. She will save me. She has a good wishes for me. Putting trust in Ramkishore Prabhu. Putting trust in Ashok Prabhu. They are devotee. They are not going to do harm. And then slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, we start putting trust in Krishna. That transition has to happen. So that's the basically, message we are getting. Then we can have trust in Krishna, putting more trust in Krishna. And how that happen? That happens by constant association and constantly engaging into the process of devotional service. This dharma, arth, kama, and moksha has to be insignificant for us also. And if it's still looking significant, then we have to go back and do and loop, or else, or if and else type of loop that doesn't make else here, doesn't make else here. So keep on reminding and introspection and contemplation so that we can reform. Reformation is very important. Okay, so how, I don't know how that bliss is, but let us all pray that one day we'll come to that stage. Then the last slide on this topic, 6 qualities. Sri Krishna Karsani, it attracts the Lord himself, Lord and his associates. And then some of the verses are cited here. Bhakti is called Sri Krishna Karsani because it makes Lord addicted to the prema and bring him under control along with his associates. Kritva harim prema bhajam kriya varga samanvitam bhaktir vasi karo titi Sri Krishna Karshani Mata. So that's the opinion. Pure bhakti makes Lord addicted. Addicted to whom? Addicted to his pure devotee. Atma Ramasya Munyo Nirgrantho Apyurukrame Kuruvanti Haituki Bhakti Edo Gun Bhuto Hari. Mahaprabhu has given 61 explanation. Why? Atma Ramasya Munyo. Doesn't matter. You have some desire or no desire. Everybody is engaged in serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Atma Ramasya Munyo Nirgrantho api urukramare Kurvanti ahituki bhakti. Everybody is aspiring to do ahituki bhakti. Same ahituki bhakti. Why? Edo gun bhuto hari. This is because Lord has the quality. Our dear Lord has that quality. That's why all this great personality, they have left everything and they are trying to do a Hituki Bhakti. Why? Because Krishna Karsana Karsani. Krishna Akarshani. It attracts even Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Right now in India, so much, fighting going on. People are throwing a stone on Ram Shobhayatra or Hanuman Shobhayatra. Muslims are torturing. Do you see, do you know that anybody who is God conscious will do like that? Who is Lord Ramchandra? I was just, when I heard that, I was, in the night, I was like, I wake up and I started a little bit crying. My wife said, why you are, she says, I said, how somebody would not understand the position of Lord Ramchandra? He killed all of those Rakshasa in the demon. Try to understand the quality of Ravan. All of those were killed by Lord Ramchandra. Somebody envy towards Lord Ramchandra? Whatever dharma you follow, dharma has not acted on you. Do I have hatred for people who have faith in Jesus Christ? No. As long as one is worshipper of the Lord, lover of the Lord, that thing has to have in their consciousness. And that's what we saw. A pure devotee attracts all living beings, and he is attractive to all living beings. Right? We saw that, right? So that's what happens. And once we pass that attraction, then it start attracting Lord himself. Okay, so these are some of the goal, that we have to take. No misconception. We should try to remove as much as possible our misconception, our own so-called mundane intelligence. It has to go away. That's why humility is so much emphasized. Doesn't matter, who you are, Atma Ramasya Muni, whatever you are, whoever you are. Goal is to serve. Ahituki Bhakti. My dear Uddhava, now Lord Himself in 11th canto, Uddhav Gita, talking to Uddhav, saying that, my dear Uddhav, the unalloyed devotional service in the form of Prema Bhakti rendered to me by my devotee brings me under their control. My dear Uddhav, the unalloyed devotional service in the form of Prema Bhakti rendered to me by my devotee brings me under their control. Those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, renunciation cannot thus control me to this extent. Reference is cited 11 Canto, 14 chapter, verse number 20, where Krishna is talking to Uddhav. That's the potency of bhakti. Narad Muni is talking to Yudhishthira Maharaj. My dear Yudhishthira Maharaj, all of you, all of the Pandava, you are extremely fortunate, for the Supreme Personality of Godhead lives in your place just like a human being. Great saintly person knows this very well, and therefore they constantly visit your house. When Mother Sachi was pregnant, she would see, I don't know who is coming. Some effulgence personality comes to see me, because all the greatly person know that Lord is about to appear. When Mother Devaki was pregnant, all the auspicious thing will happen. When Lord was present on this planet, everywhere everything was auspicious. As he left, Kali Yuga entered into it. So the saintly person knows that. Saintly person knows that, and that's why they are constantly aspiring for the pure devotion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So these are the six prominent quality. So we'll be talking about these more. Two of those, Klesa Agni and Subda, that is a result of sadhana, Badhi Bhakti or sadhana Bhakti, Badhi Bhakti. So Badhi Bhakti gives us these two quality. And then after Badhi Bhakti, when we get into the Bhava stage, then Muksh, Laghut Krita and Sudarlabha, that type of realization comes. And Sandranand Visheshatma and Sri Krishna Karshani, those are the stages when we come to pure devotional service. So very important topic, and with that chapter 1 concludes. From next week we'll start chapter 2, but please read Nectar of Devotions summary. It's summary, if you have a habit to read, it should be very easy. It's just like flowing so well that it would not be too much for you to finish. So please read chapter 1, and then from next week we can start talking about chapter 2. I would like to pause and see if there is any realization, any sharing, anything that you